Have you ever feel like you're slowly disappearing, even while everyone around you keeps talking like they still see you? Like you're there, but not really there. You're laughing at the right moments, nodding when you're supposed to, showing up with a face the world can tolerate. But something inside you feels like it's fading, not dead, not broken, just worn out, like a flame that's still alive, but flickering low, waiting for someone to either protect it or snuff it out. It's not sadness, exactly. And it's not quite depression. It's quieter than that. It's like a slow leak in your spirit, a silent sabotage. Your thoughts don't scream, they whisper, but those whispers dig deeper than any scream ever could. You wake up, carry on, play the role, do the job, answer the messages. But behind your smile, you're dragging a weight no one else can see. And maybe the worst part? You don't even know where it began. Maybe it was a moment you never got closure for, a promise someone shattered, a future you were building that collapsed in your hands. Or maybe it wasn't even one thing, just life, clawing at you from 100 angles at once until you stopped trying to count the bruises. You kept saying, "I'm fine," because the world doesn't like complicated answers. You kept walking, but your feet were bleeding inside your shoes. You kept loving, even though your heart felt like it was cracking from the pressure of pretending. And then one day, your own mind turns on you. You start hearing things like, "This is just how life is now," and you nod because part of you starts to believe it. But if your mind can turn against you, then it can also be brought back. And that's where the fire starts. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Do you understand the weight of that? Your soul, the deepest part of who you are, can be stained, twisted, shattered by the thoughts you keep feeding. That means your survival isn't about what happens to you. It's about what you allow to grow inside your head. And right now, too many people are dying in daylight, buried beneath a mind they never learned to control. That's why today isn't just another motivational speech. This is a war cry. This is a knife slicing through the fog that's been choking your light. This is your chance to stop feeding the darkness and start coloring your soul with strength, with discipline, with a kind of unshakable self-respect that no one can take from you again. And no, this won't be a sugar-coated list of tips telling you to just be grateful or think happy thoughts. That kind of fluff doesn't fix the shadows in your chest. This isn't for people looking for shortcuts. This is for the warriors, the ones who keep showing up when it hurts, the ones who've stared at their reflection and barely recognized who they've become, but refused to give up. This is for the ones who've been too strong for too long and are now ready to take their strength back from the lies in their own mind. So if you're still breathing, you're not done. If your heart's still beating, even in pieces, you've still got a weapon. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 ways to completely transform your thinking, using the brutal, battle-forged wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy. Not philosophy for professors, but for people like you who've been through hell and don't want pity. You want power. These aren't gimmicks. These are war-tested truths that can flip your reality upside down if you let them. They'll rewire how you see pain, how you respond to loss, and how you rebuild your identity from the ashes. So, don't skip around. Don't half listen. Sit with this. Let it hit you in the places you've been avoiding. Because this isn't just another video. This is a reckoning. This is you standing in front of the mirror and saying, "I will not let the poison of my past write the script for my future." If you're ready, drop this in the comments. I control the color of my thoughts. Because today we take back the throne inside your mind, not with noise, not with fake smiles, but with fire, with focus, with the soul of a person who's been through chaos and finally learned how to turn it into clarity. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Not because it's routine, but because this message needs to echo in more minds that feel lost in their own silence. The war starts now. Number 1. Silence. The inner critic before it becomes your truth. There's a war happening inside your head, and the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face. It isn't out there. It's the one that knows your deepest fears, your rawest wounds, your quietest regrets. That voice doesn't whisper, it screams. It says you're not enough, that you'll never make it, that every move you make is just another step closer to failure. And if you let it run wild, if you don't cage it, if you keep nodding along like it's telling the truth, one day you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you became the very lie it fed you. That's not pain. That's psychological death. That's the slow erosion of your own identity. But Marcus Aurelius said it without flinching. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That wasn't poetry. That was a battle cry. He was telling you that while the world might be chaos, your mind is a throne. And the voice sitting on it, you get to choose if it's a king or a tyrant. So when that voice rises up, telling you you're weak, unlovable, doomed to repeat your worst mistakes, don't just listen. Interrogate it. Break it apart like a detective at a crime scene. Who gave it the right to speak like that? Who slipped the dagger of doubt into your chest when you weren't looking? Was it a parent's cold stare? A betrayal that cracked your sense of worth? Or maybe it was you, feeding the monster every day with silence, with self-pity, with surrender. Now imagine this. You're walking down a hallway, dark, cold, endless, and every wall is lined with mirrors. Each one shows a grotesque version of you, weakened, shrinking, warped. That's what the inner critic does. It doesn't show you truth, it twists it. But suddenly, at the end of the hall, there's one mirror, cracked, dusty, forgotten, and in it, you see something terrifyingly real. You, scarred, bleeding, but still standing, still breathing, still capable of rewriting everything. And in that moment, the choice becomes clear. Keep staring at the lies, or fight for the one reflection that still holds the fire. You don't silence the inner critic by yelling over it. You starve it. You rip the microphone from its hand and throw it into the dirt. You stop giving it airtime. You stop letting it narrate your story like it owns the script. And instead, you inject reality back into your bloodstream. The truth that no one saw what you've survived. That behind your quiet eyes is a battlefield of victories no one clapped for. That you got up again, even when every part of you screamed to stay down. That's strength. That's the voice you feed now. This isn't delusion. This is warrior logic. This is reclaiming your throne before the enemy builds a fortress inside your skull. Because when your mind turns into a weapon against you, you don't negotiate. You go to war. You speak to yourself like someone who still matters, someone who isn't done. And with time, that screaming critic turns into a whisper, then a hum, and finally, silence. Not because you killed it, but because you rose so high, its voice couldn't reach you anymore. Number 2, reframe your struggles into purpose. Pain hits like a thief in the night. No warning, no mercy, just a brutal stripping of everything soft inside you. And after the damage is done, it doesn't explain itself. It just leaves you wide awake in a dark room, heart racing, staring at a cracked ceiling while your thoughts spiral like vultures over a carcass. You whisper, "Why me?" But nothing answers. The world shrugs, the silence stretches, and it begins to rot you from the inside. The worst part isn't the agony itself. It's the lie that starts growing from it. The lie that says, "This meant nothing. You suffered for no reason." That's the voice that kills dreams. That's the voice that makes people give up and rot quietly in lives they never wanted. Marcus Aurelius spat in the face of that lie. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Read that again. What broke you can build you, if you stop clinging to how it used to be. The struggle wasn't a detour. It was the damn blueprint. The storm wasn't meant to drown you. It came to rip off everything fake so you could finally rebuild with truth. But it doesn't feel like that when you're bleeding. It doesn't feel poetic when your chest feels hollow and every memory burns like acid. That's when you decide, do I fold into the pain or do I make it serve me? Every scar you carry didn't just hurt, it taught. That betrayal? It was a scalpel, carving out your naivety and sewing in standards. That heartbreak? It was a demolition crew, clearing the wreckage so you could finally put up boundaries with concrete, not chalk. That failure? It redirected you like a divine slap to the face. Painful, humiliating, but necessary. But pain doesn't speak in full sentences. It screams, then goes mute. So if you want to grow from it, you've got to do the translation yourself. Dig back into the ashes, grip the blackened memories, and rip the lesson out with your bare hands. Ask yourself, not why did this happen, but what muscle did this misery just build? Imagine standing before the wreckage of everything you thought your life would be. A shattered glass wall, your hopes, your plans, your naive dreams, all obliterated. But look closer. Each broken shard catches light. They still reflect power. They still glint like blades. You don't walk away from that rubble. You grab those fragments. You bleed if you have to. And you start building something new, not a window this time, but a mosaic. A fortress made of broken beauty. Something jagged, fierce, untouchable. Not the life you wanted, a life you forged in fire. Transformation doesn't begin with comfort. It begins when you stare your pain in the face and say, "You don't get to be the end of me." You stop running. You turn around and walk back into the flames, on purpose. That's where real power lives. Not in the smile you fake for others, but in the storm you survived alone. And suddenly, you're not broken. You're built. You're not a victim. You're a weapon. The pain didn't destroy you, it refined you. So the next time life buries you, don't ask, "Why me?" That question is too small for a soul like yours. Ask, "What now?" Then rise, not despite the pain, but because of it. Number 3. Stop seeking peace in unstable hands. Some people wear comfort like a mask, but breathe chaos behind the curtain. They smile like saviors, but carry wrecking balls in their silence. You lean into them, praying for calm, aching for safety, and all you get is confusion, guilt, and 1,000 unsaid things that leave your spirit in pieces. Still, you stay, not because it feels good, but because you've been trained to believe peace lives in their hands, that if you just please them hard enough, shrink a little more, bend a little further, they'll finally cradle your worth like it matters. But all they ever do is squeeze tighter until your soul suffocates. That's not love, that's emotional captivity, and Marcus Aurelius saw right through it. The tranquility that comes When you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. That's not bitterness, that's rescue. That's the sound of chains snapping off your mind. When you stop trying to impress people who don't even know how to hold their own sanity, you finally start hearing yourself again. The calm doesn't come from their approval. It comes from no longer needing it. You'll never breathe freely if your lungs are tethered to someone else's weather. One moment, they're warm. The next, they're ice. You're constantly guessing, adjusting, overthinking, apologizing for being too loud, too quiet, too much, not enough, all to maintain a peace that was never yours in the first place. That's not emotional safety, that's spiritual suffocation. You're not seeking love. You're fighting to survive a battlefield they call a relationship. And the truth is brutal. When your peace depends on unstable hands, you're not loved, you're controlled. Picture this. You're standing in a hurricane soaked to the bone, clutching an umbrella made of paper. That's what it feels like when you rely on toxic people for stability. For a fleeting second, it feels like protection. But then the wind howls, and the paper rips, and the rain soaks straight through your chest. That kind of peace is counterfeit, cheap, unsustainable. You don't need their shelter, you need your own damn stormproof fortress, and you build it with boundaries, with silence, with the courage to say, not anymore. Letting go isn't weakness, it's war. You're walking away from the battlefield, not because you lost, but because you realized peace was never going to grow in soil that only knew how to bury you. Let them spiral in their chaos. Let them dance in their manipulation. You are no longer the audience. You are no longer the oxygen that feeds their drama. You are done bleeding just to keep their world colorful. You are not asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. Your intensity, your love, your raw truth, it scared them. Not because it was flawed, but because it demanded a depth they never intended to reach. So stop dimming your light to make shadows feel safe. Protect your fire. Let it burn away every piece of you that begged for scraps. You weren't made to grovel for love. You were made to radiate it, fiercely, fully, on your own damn terms. Peace isn't found in other people's moods. It's forged in solitude. It's born the moment you stop trying to fit into the mess they made. When your mind breathes without apology, that's healing. That's the real freedom. Not silence from others, but the silence within you, untouched, undisturbed, divine. Number 4. Master the pause between reaction and response. Something happens. A look, a word, a tone, and it crawls under your skin like a blade dressed in silk. Your fists clench, jaw tightens, breath shortens, and before your logic can even lace up its boots, your emotions have already set fire to the room. That's the trap. That's where most people lose themselves, not in the event, but in the instant they let it hijack their mind. You feel something and assume you must act. You think rage is strength. That clapping back means control. But in truth, that reaction is often your enemy dressed in your own voice. Marcus Aurelius doesn't whisper here. He slams it down. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. He's not telling you to suppress the fire. He's teaching you how to contain it, how to stand in the middle of emotional chaos and not let it eat you alive. That gap, the microscopic, razor-thin pause between what happens to you and what you choose to do next, that's the real battlefield. Most people never even see it. They live like ticking bombs. Someone pushes a button and boom, they explode, then pretend they were provoked. But you don't get to use that excuse, not if you want to own your life, not if you want power that doesn't depend on other people's idiocy. Master that pause, and you master yourself. Visualize this. Your mind is iron, glowing red in a furnace. It's being beaten, shaped, tested, and you want to strike back immediately. But if you pull it out too early, it's brittle, useless. It cracks under pressure. But if you let it endure, let the heat mold it, and then slowly temper it with patience, it becomes a blade no insult can dull. That's what the pause does. It transforms your emotions from wildfire into focused force. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to defend your worth to every fool who misjudges your silence. Your reaction is your kingdom, and you're either the ruler or the puppet. Positive thinking isn't fake optimism. It's strategic clarity. It's knowing that energy is currency, and you're done wasting it on people and problems that aren't worth a single damn coin. So when life slaps you across the face, don't flinch. Stand still. Breathe like your lungs belong to a warrior. Let the storm rage while you remain unmoved. That's not coldness. It's emotional precision. That's when people start looking at you differently. Because the most terrifying person in any room isn't the one who shouts first. It's the one who waits, watches, and chooses. Not with rage, not with fear, but with full, brutal awareness. Next time someone tries to trigger you, let silence be your first strike. Let calm be your weapon. Let your stillness make them uncomfortable. Because when you control your reaction, you don't just win the moment, you win yourself back. Number 5. See life as happening for you, not to you. Most people walk through life dragging a chain of complaints behind them like a badge of honor. Why me? Why now? Why always? They replay every failure like a broken record, convinced the universe has their name written on a blacklist, that they're the cosmic punching bag. And when that mindset sinks in, when you start seeing every obstacle as an attack, it doesn't just weaken you, it poisons your entire existence. You stop creating, you stop fighting, you start surviving with your fists down, waiting for the next blow like it's tradition. But Marcus Aurelius tears the curtain down. Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. Read that again. Not what you want, what you need. He's not asking you to sugarcoat tragedy. He's calling you to rise above it, to stop whining about the rain and realize maybe the storm came to wash away the version of you that was never built to last. He's asking you to look at pain like a sculptor looks at marble, with a vision of something greater hidden beneath the wreckage. Imagine life as a brutal artist. It doesn't use a brush, it uses a blade. It doesn't ask for permission before carving pieces off you. It takes what no longer serves you, whether you're ready or not. It crushes illusions. It kills comfort. It breaks your favorite masks. And the louder you scream, "Why is this happening to me?" the longer you stay trapped in that block of stone, refusing to see what's being revealed underneath. You weren't born to stay uncut. You were meant to be chiseled. Every loss, a stroke. Every heartbreak, a slice. Every failure, a deliberate crack leading to the version of you that was buried beneath fear, ego, and doubt. Victimhood is seductive. It gives you an excuse to stay small. It hands you comfort wrapped in misery and calls it truth. But when you flip the lens, when you start seeing every collapse as construction, you stop feeling cursed. You start feeling carved. You start to understand that every single thing that went wrong might have been the exact moment you were rerouted to something better. The heartbreak didn't break you. It peeled away the parts of you clinging to fake love. The silence didn't abandon you. It taught you to hear your own voice in the deafening stillness. The rejection didn't diminish you. It cleared the path for something that wouldn't overlook your worth. Positive thinking isn't about grinning through disaster like a fool. It's about looking into the chaos and saying, I don't get it yet, but I trust that this isn't the end of me. It's the making of me. That's not delusion. That's defiance. That's spiritual warfare. That's strength that refuses to bow to temporary suffering. So stop begging life to be easier. Start begging yourself to be stronger. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start demanding to know, what is this trying to build in me? Because the moment you shift that perspective is the moment you take your power back. And once you own that power, life stops feeling like a punishment and starts becoming your greatest teacher. You weren't chosen to suffer. You were chosen to transform. Let it burn. Let it break. Let it remake you into someone who doesn't just survive storms, someone who becomes the damn storm. Number 6. Feed your mind what you want it to grow. You can't pour gasoline into your soul and expect peace to bloom. You can't feed your mind garbage, envy, drama, and digital noise all day, then wonder why your heart feels like a war zone. People poison their own mental soil with comparison, gossip, fake validation, and chaos. And then they sit in silence asking, why can't I focus? Why am I anxious? Why does nothing feel real anymore? Because you've been overdosing on mental junk food while starving your soul of anything real. You've been feeding your roots acid and praying for roses. Marcus Aurelius didn't just suggest discipline, he demanded it. He said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Let that sink in. Your soul isn't steel, it's fabric. It soaks in everything you expose it to. If you drench it in bitterness, you darken into something cold and stiff. If you stain it with envy, you shrink, you wrinkle, you rot from the inside out. But if you bathe it in clarity, stillness, gratitude, and truth, you start to glow. Your eyes sharpen, your aura tightens, you walk different. Not because life got easier, but because your inner world got stronger. Imagine your mind as a sacred garden that lives behind your eyes. And now, imagine yourself walking through it daily. What do you see? Is it filled with weeds growing wild from all the hate, distractions, and lies you've been letting in? Or is it a place of power, where every thought you plant is intentional, every emotion you feel is observed, every narrative you allow is filtered like it matters? Because it does. Every reel you watch, every voice you follow, every song you loop on, repeat. It's watering something. The only question is, what? This is where most people lose the battle. They try to think positive while living negative. They say affirmations with one hand and scroll through toxicity with the other. They tell themselves they want peace while keeping the door wide open to chaos. Positive thinking isn't an escape, it's a discipline. It's not just about smiling in the mirror, it's about building a fortress around your focus, about cutting out every noise that pollutes your stillness, about walking away from voices that disguise poison as entertainment. You don't just need to scroll less, you need to curate your entire ecosystem like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your peace is expensive, and most people will try to bargain it down to nothing. That's why you need to protect it like it's sacred ground. Turn off the background noise. Stop following people who make you feel like you're not enough. Walk away from conversations that leave your spirit bruised. Replace dead air with audiobooks that sharpen you. Replace shallow friends with silence that strengthens you. Replace endless validation seeking with internal clarity that needs nothing. You're not a machine, you're a flame. And if you keep surrounding yourself with wind, don't be surprised when you flicker. But if you feed your fire the right oxygen, discipline, reflection, solitude, truth, you don't just glow, you burn. You light up everything around you without losing yourself. That's what happens when you stop begging the world to fix your mindset and take full command of the soil you're growing in. So choose what enters, cut what corrupts, nurture what heals, and never forget, your mind is listening even when you're not. Speak power into it, feed it strength, build a mental garden so damn powerful that when the world collapses, you remain rooted, untouched, unshaken, unbreakable. Number 7. Embrace what you can control. Release what you can't. There is no greater madness than the human obsession with control. We twist ourselves into knots trying to script the world like a movie, directing every scene, every character, every damn outcome. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want life to move without hiccups. We want certainty in a world built on chaos. And when reality doesn't obey, we spiral, we rage, we fall to our knees in frustration, forgetting that the rope we're pulling on isn't even tied to anything real. Control becomes the slow venom that poisons your peace while you're too distracted to notice. Marcus Aurelius stood like a mountain in the middle of this madness. He didn't beg the storm to stop. He became the man who could stand in it. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These aren't just poetic words. This is a survival code for a world that won't bend to your will, because peace does not come from fixing everything. It comes from understanding that you were never meant to fix everything. You were meant to master yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your internal weather. That's your kingdom. That's the only crown that ever mattered. Everything else, let it burn. Let the storm scream. Let the waves crash. You don't need to calm the ocean. You just need to build a ship that doesn't sink. Think of it like this. You're standing on the shore, screaming at the tide, hands outstretched like you can hold it back. You're furious at the wind. You're panicked by the dark clouds. But what if, just what if, you stopped trying to control the tide and stepped back? What if instead of wrestling with nature, you built a shelter? A place inside yourself where the world can rage outside, but not one drop touches your peace. That's not weakness. That's ruthless clarity. Let go of what was never yours to hold. The weather, their betrayal, that random comment that haunted you, the past you can't edit, the future you can't guarantee. Every ounce of that is dead weight. You think it's armor, but it's rust. You think it's protection, but it's a cage. You don't need to fix that person who keeps disappointing you. You don't need to predict every twist life throws at you. You don't need to explain your pain to people too blind to understand it. All you need is control over one battlefield, your reaction. That's the blade. That's the edge. That's the secret weapon. Positive thinking isn't smiling while chaos rains down. It's looking chaos in the face and saying, "You don't decide who I am." It's finding stillness when everything wants you to scream. It's standing firm when the world tries to drag you into its drama. And that kind of power, that kind of mental stillness, it doesn't come from avoiding storms. It comes from becoming the storm. A storm of restraint, a storm of poise, a storm of calculated silence when everything inside you wants to explode. When you shift your focus from what you can't control to what you can, life stops feeling like a prison and starts becoming a path. You stop chasing the illusion of order and start creating inner mastery. You stop begging for peace and you become it. Not the fake kind plastered on social media, not the soft-spoken kind that cracks at the first sign of pressure, but the kind that grows out of fire, the kind that was earned, the kind that scares people because it's so rare. You want real power? Let go. Walk away from the chaos, turn your back on the noise, and put all your energy into sharpening the one sword no one can steal, yourself. That's where strength lives. That's where clarity grows. That's how you stop surviving the storm and start walking through it untouched. Your mind is the soil, not just dirt, but the very ground beneath your feet where the future takes root. Every thought you plant is a seed. Every choice, every belief, every whisper you allow inside your head, it grows. And your life, it's the wild, untamed garden that sprouts from that soil. It's not a quiet patch of grass, neat and trimmed. It's raw and alive, bursting with everything you fed it. The beauty, the chaos, the shadows, the light. It all grows from what you sow. So stop watering the weeds of doubt, fear, and resentment. Instead, pour your soul into thoughts that ignite you, people who see your fire, moments that carve you into something fierce and unbreakable. When life throws darkness, because it will, don't shrink or hide. Become the flame that tears through the blackness. Burn so fiercely that the night itself has no choice but to bow before your blaze. This is no shallow smile plastered on like a mask. No fake optimism that shatters with the first cold wind. This is a war-forged peace. A peace hammered and welded from pain, struggle, and raw survival. It's a fortress inside you where chaos cannot tread, where the noise becomes a distant echo, powerless to shake the foundation you've built stone by stone. Think like a Stoic, not some distant philosopher lost in dusty scrolls, but a warrior locked in battle with the madness of the world. Live like a gladiator who knows every wound is a lesson and every scar is a medal. Protect your energy like it's the last flame on earth, because it is. Your energy is sacred. It is the fuel for every victory you will ever claim. Guard it fiercely. Cut out what poisons it. Starve the distractions. Build walls so high, only the chosen can climb them. If this truth moves something raw and real inside you, then don't just watch and scroll away. Like this message, comment your fire, share it with those who need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel if you're ready to rise. Let the world know you're done being a ghost in your own life. And now, drop this final affirmation in the comments below like a war cry. My thoughts shape my life. I choose peace, no matter the storm. Say it loud, say it proud. Let it echo in your soul until it becomes your reality. Because that, right there, is where your revolution begins.